or party. Even though we are the League of Women Voters, men are more than welcome to join. So let us keep in mind this evening, this is a non-partisan event. We are here to hear the views of the candidates, not the views of the audience. We hear the views of the audience via the questions, but we're here really to understand the views and the positions of the candidates. And I'm going to ask that there be no applause from the audience when the candidates make their statements or respond to the questions. This program is being recorded by the Community Media Center of the North Bay and is being broadcast live on Comcast Cable 26 in Santa Rosa. It will be rebroadcast a number of times on Comcast Channel 30 in Santa Rosa. And information about these rebroadcasts will be available in the back of the room. So before I introduce the candidates, I'd like to outline the format for this evening's forum. First, each candidate will have 2 minutes to make an opening statement. The order was chosen by drawing just before we came onto the podium. And following the candidate's opening statement, I will read a statement from Joel Smolin, who is also a candidate, but regrets that he cannot be here tonight. I will then ask prepared questions by the League of Women Voters, while additional questions, I should say, from the audience are collected and sorted to prevent duplication. Candidates will have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. I will then ask the audience questions. Candidates will again have 1.5 minutes to respond to each question. Please fill out your questions on cards provided and hand them to one of the card runners. Raise your hand if you still need a card. I know you filled out some of the cards and the cards have already been looked at, but please raise your hand if you need to have a card and a pencil, and someone will bring one to you. Only questions pertinent to the issues will be considered, and all questions will be directed to all 3 candidates. Our timekeeper this evening is Nancy Richards. Wave at us, Nancy. She will hold up a 30-second card when you have 30 seconds left, and then a red stop card, which when your time is up. And please ask me if you'd like to have a question repeated, because I certainly will do that. As a bit of housekeeping, would you please silence or turn off your cell phones or other devices that might ring this evening? I just turned it on. Okay, and that said, I would like to introduce the candidates of the positions-made group. Eastern Freedom candidate, Jim Judd. Congresswoman Lynn Woolsey, Democratic incumbent. And Jim Judd, Republican candidate. Joe Smolin, who is absent, is the Libertarian candidate. So I'd like to thank you all for being here. And let's get on with it and begin the opening statements. Our first candidate to speak is Mr. Ruyle.
Thank you, and thank everyone for coming. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for organizing this event and inviting all of the candidates. Usually, only the candidates of so-called major parties are invited, and this passes for a debate. I think of these parties as the Titanic parties because they are so rich and so powerful, and like the Titanic, they are leading us straight into disaster. Economically, politically, and environmentally, they are leading us into disaster. We all know this, but on election day, we go into the voting booth and check the box for Democrat or Republican, as if that's our only choice. We need to start thinking outside the two-party box. We need to hear the voices of independent political parties, independent in the sense that they are not bought and paid for by the giant corporations that run roughshod over so much of our lives. I represent the Peace and Freedom Party, the only working class, socialist, and feminist party on the ballot in California. Peace and Freedom is anti-war and pro-choice. We stand for single-payer health care and immigrant rights, and we have opposed every foreign war since Vietnam. We also support Prop 19. The war on drugs damages society far more than marijuana ever could. We need to light up and lighten up. Thank you.
Congresswoman Woolsey.
Good evening, and thank you. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for organizing tonight's forum. Thank you, the City of Santa Rosa, for allowing us to use your City Council chambers. And thank you, Cable 26 and 30, for making sure that individuals who aren't in the chambers will hear this debate tonight. Thank you, 6th Congressional District, for allowing me the honor and the privilege to represent you for the last 18 years. Thank you for letting me know that this is a performance evaluation, because I know that it is. I am your employee and you are my employer. And every 2 years, you evaluate my performance and you determine whether I will be rehired at the beginning of that next year. We have accomplished a lot together as a team. People I work for, you, and the people that work for me, my staff, and I am proud of so much that we have done together. For example, in the year 2005, because I had you behind me, the 6th Congressional District, I was the first member of the House of Representatives or the Senate to bring legislation to the House floor to ask the President to bring our troops home from Iraq. That was the point when the Congress finally caught up with the American people and knew that it was time to do the right thing. Thank you for everything that you have allowed me to do. And thank you for letting me know every single time that there is an important issue on the House floor, where you stand. And I am proud that 99% of the time you're telling me we stand together. Thank you.
Thank you, Congresswoman Woolsey. Mr. Judd.
And thank you for being here, League of Women Voters. Hello, my name is Jim Judd. I'm here tonight because, like so many of you, I feel disconnected from our government. Like you, I'm tired of the blame game. I'm tired of finger pointing. I'm tired of the right pointing at the left. I'm sick of the growing separation between Americans, and it's time for new leadership. We must come together on the issues we can agree on and move forward to save our future. This election, like you, I worry about jobs, the economy, and uncontrolled government spending. With an approval rating of around 11%, I have no confidence in Congress. Since she is a senior member of Congress, I expect more from the incumbent in her leadership, in her representation, and in her openness with her constituents. That these exact same views are shared and expressed by constituents regardless of party. My personal and professional life experiences make me uniquely qualified to respond effectively to the critical challenges facing Marin and Sonoma counties. Challenges that must be overcome in order for our nation to prosper. Having raised a family and become a grandfather, I've witnessed firsthand the joy of one son-in-law becoming a naturalized U.S. citizen, and also the personal family sacrifices associated with my second son-in-law being deployed to Afghanistan. Being married to a diabetic and having personally cared for a loved one dying of cancer, I feel and understand the concerns that cost of medical coverage. As a business owner for over 27 years, I comprehend balanced budgets and how government taxes and regulations must be limited in order to sustain growth and job creation. Tonight, you're going to hear two different approaches to the privilege of representing you. I believe empowering the individual and rewarding success gained through the fruits of your labor. The incumbent, being a career politician, believes she knows what is best for you, which ultimately leads to more regulations and bureaucracy burdening our children and grandchildren
I will read Joel Smolman's opening statement, who is the Libertarian candidate. I have had a 40-year career as a successful business entrepreneur. I have formed 3 successful technology businesses, creating hundreds of jobs for the people of California. Libertarians are the party of principle, socially tolerant and fiscally conservative. I and the Libertarian Party offer the voters an opportunity for a new beginning. We are the champions of the Constitution and the Republic, as envisioned by the Founding Fathers. We are advocates for personal choice, peace, and individual freedom. I'm committed to a policy of non-intervention, balanced budgets, deficit reduction, free trade, and full transparency for both government and business. I support job creation through innovation and free enterprise, not by government expansion. I will work to reduce government size and unleash the can-do spirit that has made America great. I will fight to recast our failing healthcare and educational system, making them work for all of us. As a representative of the people, I will work to return the country to its citizens, breaking the grip of lobbyists and the deep pockets of special interest groups. I'm an Army veteran committed to bringing our troops home now from Afghanistan and Iraq, and to a policy of non-intervention in the future. I'm dedicated to protecting individual freedoms, personal privacy, and to significantly reduce the size and scope of government, along with lower taxes for Californians and all Americans. I stand for job creation, job formation through true, meaningful, and significant change for the citizens of Marin and Sonoma counties. It is time to empower our workers, our business, and our taxpayers by returning to the vision of the signers of the Constitution: free enterprise, free speech, free trade, and non-intervention. I ask for your vote in support. Joel Smolman. Now I will ask prepared questions. As another reminder, you have a minute and a half to answer questions. So I will address the first question to Mr. Ruyle. What, if anything, should be done by the federal government to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels?
As an advocate of solar socialism, I think we need to end our dependence on fossil fuels. We need to stop drilling on the North Coast, on the Gulf Coast, and everywhere else. We need to keep the oil in the soil. We can make the shift over to solar power. So I think we need to do that. We need to stop this very dangerous thing of letting companies like BP and Shell destroy our environment. So, again, I'm an advocate of solar socialism. Thank you.
Congressman Woolsey.
Well, I'm proud that I was one of the members of the House of Representatives that voted for the energy policy that the House passed, that the Senate has not taken forward, but it was all Democrats and a handful of Republicans that voted for this cap and trade bill, because what we were looking for and what we have to have is independence from fossil fuels. If we don't do that, then we are going to be beholden to foreign countries like Iraq and Afghanistan. We are going to be beholden to coal, and we're going to be beholden to atomic energy, whether or not it can be made safe. So our cap and trade bill made this happen. The Senate did not pass it. The cap and trade bill would incentivize solar energy. It would incentivize air and wind energy. It would incentivize thermal energy. We have thermal energy production right up from Sonoma. It's in Sonoma County, but not this district. Santa Rosa, the city provides water for thermal energy up there. We would be partners all the way around. We have to remove ourselves from the dependence on fossil fuels. We have to make sure there are no more BP spills in the Gulf of Mexico.
Thank you. Mr. Judd?
I think that's what the question we're all asking. Since approximately 1978, are we closer in our independence of foreign fuel or foreign fossil fuels? No, we're more dependent on it. So the question becomes, when are we going to transition? What we hear all the time is talk. What we need to get is decisions. And those decisions have to come from Congress. Now, we should move away from foreign fuels, and we should do that now. and at the same time that we're transitioning to alternative energies, wind, solar, nuclear. Why aren't we talking about that now? It's like going on a diet. When do you start going on a diet? It's 1 pound at a time. Let's quit the talk and move in that direction. I believe in alternative fuels, and we need to do that. Why aren't we using our natural gas resources? Here's a case where we can power automobiles tomorrow, and I mean tomorrow. You can retrofit your car today and be driving on natural gas tomorrow. There's a huge impact when we're talking about carbon. So let's quit the rhetoric and let's move forward and get off foreign dependence.
Applause. The second question goes to Congresswoman Woolsey. Would you support legislation to enact publicly financed elections and reduce the influence of lobbyists in Washington?
Until we get money out of politics, we are not going to be able to have a true representation of who should and must and could represent us in this country. The Supreme Court ruling that allows corporations to have the voice equal to an individual cut so deeply into our ability to control who puts money into debates, into elections like this. It is just absolutely going in the wrong direction. Money out of politics. I would support absolutely public finance elections, short election seasons, media that's prescribed for just so much media for every candidate. That candidate wants to use that media to slap their opponent around, they can do that, or they can use the media to say who they are and introduce themselves to the general public. Public finance elections is the only way to go in order to get money out of politics.
Thank you, Congressman Woolsey. Mr. Judd.
Well, welcome to the Jim Judd Congress campaign. It is publicly funded. There's no special interests. There's no party lines that are helping us out. There's no lobbyists. There's no union leaders. There's no corporations that are funding this campaign. And that's why I can go to Washington and represent you. But I also have to ask the question of our Congresswoman, what about all your union PACs that are being funded through your campaign?
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Mr. Ruyle.
Thank you. Corporations are not people. They never have been. They never will be, in spite of what the Supreme Court says. We need to get them out of politics, and politics need to be controlled by the people. Corporations are one thing. Labor unions are quite another. I support labor unions. I've been a member of trade unions throughout my life, and I appreciate the influence they've had on American life. After all, they're the people who gave us the weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ruyle. Mr. Judd, question number 3 goes to you. In determining future federal budget priorities, how would you balance the cost of military action and national security needs with the cost of domestic needs?
Great question. And therein lies why I'm here today, because I question of how we are spending our money. Do we have secure borders right now? After 9 years in Afghanistan, when are we going to make the decisions to pull out? Our president is working his buildup. Let's let it work. But really, can we use our monies here at home for what we need? And one of the things that we need to stop doing is the violence that's happening on our borders. Let's secure our borders. But we do have to deal with the threat with the Taliban and in Pakistan with the nuclear threat that's there. So we do have a mission, and that mission was where Congress agreed to go to war. So now that we are at war, the question becomes, how do we get out? But let's support our troops, and let's make the smart moves to get out responsibly. I don't want to see another Vietnam. I've already lived through one. And we're already at a couple of months past the length of the Vietnam War. So let's think about how we use our monies. And I'd rather use our monies here domestically for what we need. I'm tired of policing the world.
Thank you, Mr. Judd. Mr. Ruyle?
I spent 3 years in the Marine Corps, and I'm currently a member of Vets for Peace. We stand against these foreign military adventures of the United States. We should end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We should bring all the troops home, stop spending that money abroad, and start spending it at home on things like education. It's absolutely boggles my mind, the fact that we do not fund education anywhere near what it needs to be. When I was a student at Berkeley, educational fees were $45 a semester. I graduated without debt, and I got fellowships to otherwise respectable Ivy League institutions. Now, if somebody wants to go to UC Berkeley, it's going to cost them tens of thousands of dollars, and they're going to graduate with debt. So I think we need to change the priorities in this country, and ending these senseless wars is the best way to start. Thank you.
Congressman Woolsey?
Actually, we don't have to choose between job creation and deficit reduction, and if we will reprioritize our spending and get a handle on the runaway defense budget. Since 2001, our annual discretionary spending has risen by $583 billion in defense spending, which accounts for 65% of that increase. So unless we stop shoveling money to the Pentagon, that deficit is going to continue. And what that deficit does, it cuts into our priorities for our domestic needs. That's why the Congressional Progressive Caucus that I have chaired for the last 3 terms, I co-chair it with Raul from Arizona this term. That's why we have outlined a budget that actually cuts the deficit and spends more money on our domestic priorities by ensuring that we stop spending on Cold War weapons. We still spend for weapons to fight the Soviet Union. That is so ridiculous. And we could save $15 billion a year by reducing the number of nuclear warheads to 1,000. 1,000 is certainly still enough to destroy our world all the way around. So there are ways to make sure we cut defense spending.
Thank you, Congressman Woolsey. The next question goes to Mr. Ruyle. How would you bring more funding to the North Bay for infrastructure dollars to improve roads, bridges, other forms of transportation, flood control, and disaster preparedness?
Again, I'm an advocate of guaranteed jobs for everybody that wants them. This is a basic human right that's guaranteed in the United Nations Charter, and we passed the Guaranteed Jobs Act back in 1948, but Congress never bothered to fund it. So we need to provide employment. If private enterprise won't do it, then the government needs to step in, like they did back in the New Deal with the WPA, and initiate a massive public works project in which we repair the road, we repair all the failing infrastructure, and we start to build safe and comfortable mass transit for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ruyle. Congressman Woolsey.
Well, step one, if we end the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, we are sure to save not billions, but trillions of dollars. By the time we are out of Afghanistan, that fits the pattern that Iraq has set up, we will have spent $3 billion on those wars that have not made us more secure. We also have to stop having tax incentives for companies that send their jobs and their products and do their manufacturing offshore. I would say, billions of dollars. And I have reintroduced the public option in the health care bill, and the public option would save $68 billion for 7 years. That is it. And it would go right to the bottom line of what the cost is to health care, and it would offset our deficit. So unless we do the things, unless we cut our defense spending, we will no longer be able to spend as we should on the domestic needs.
Thank you, Councilman. Mr. Judd.
Can I have a question, please?
Yes. How would you bring more funding to the North Bay for infrastructure dollars to improve roads, bridges, other forms of transportation, flood control, and disaster preparedness?
Okay, again, here's why I'm sitting here tonight. Because I believe that you out there can better manage your money here at home. Why are we sending our money to Washington and then sending it back? That's the question that we have to ask. My goal is for you to keep more of your money so you can spend it here locally. You know what's best for our infrastructure here. Isn't that the real question? That's the question we need to be asking ourselves. Are we going to continue business as usual, sending it to a centralized government in Washington, having them tell us what we need? That's why I'm not sitting here. I'm sitting here to protect your invested interests here at home.